Hey, welcome back. It's Michael Dempster here from SBR Fit and the Enduro Mike YouTube channel. Guys, if you're catching me on the Facebook page for SBR Fit, then please feel free to give it a like for more interesting stuff around triathlon training and general fitness advice. If you're on YouTube, then please feel free to hit the subscribe and the bell button so that you can get updates as soon as they arrive. So we are at Monday. We are on Monday again, and it's time for the review of last week's training. I think this is number 3. This week, or last week, was the biggest week of the year so far. I know that's not it's not a huge achievement considering we're only 4 weeks in. But let's have a look with an added little bit from zwiftpower this week. So we're might delve into the month in general as well. Without further ado, let's get Training Peaks open and see what we've been up to for the last 7 days. Alright, so starting as usual, I suppose we'll have a look at what happened overall with the week. So if we have a look over here at the right hand side, total TSS for the week. And guys, last week I put a video up about what all of this jargon means. So if you do a little search through the channel or have a little look down through the videos on the Facebook page, you'll see one titled FTP and other random letters or something like that. If you have a look at that video, it'll explain what all of this stuff means in detail. Anyway, so total training stress score for the week, 1,076. The first time I've gone over 1,000 for quite a long time, actually. The last couple of weeks previous have been 896 and 801. So a fairly large jump up, and I'm going to tell you now, I definitely feel that increase. I am pretty tired at the moment, but we'll talk about that in a second. Planned total training stress score for the week was 1,272. If you've been following these videos, you'll know that I am sitting about 250 under each week because no swimming. But there's not really much we can do about that. I might do a video about dry land swimming and the drills and stuff that people are doing. Being honest, I don't do any of that. It's not that I don't like it. I suppose personally, it just doesn't do anything for me. So I don't necessarily see the point in it for me personally. If you think it benefits you, then happy days. Drop a comment down if you do and why you enjoy it and why you think it's beneficial. But personally, I haven't seen any real benefit for me. So I don't do any of that. So at the moment, I'm literally running, cycling, and doing gym sessions. So every single red thing that you see here is going to be swimming. Duration-wise, we had, 19 hours and 43 minutes planned. I got 17 hours done. For the sake of 4 minutes, let's call it 17 hours done, which is quite a lot of training, I suppose. In terms of our figures up here, chronic training load is now up to 93. Previous week it was 81, so we've got a fairly large jump up there. Some of you Training Peaks aficionados will be going, that's too much of a jump. It's actually not because of the way that it's structured, but I could see on face value that you may think that. Fatigue really high at 152 compared to 130, and I definitely feel that this week. What else? Anything else in there? Look at that. 50-mile run distance. Pretty heavy. 11 hours on the bike. So I overdid on the bike by a little bit. And 5 hours 56 there on the run. I don't know why it's not giving me a distance. I think it's maybe because I did it all on watt bike. There we go. So that's the figures for the week. Pretty good, I think. I'm fairly happy with that. If we have a look then at, I know that last week I started to look at these numbers, so VO2 max, weight and all that kind of stuff. So if we look at last week, it was 170 pounds weight wise. This week we're down to 164 pounds, so we've lost 6 pounds. Yeah, 6 pounds, which is in the region of 3 kilos, which is alright. I'm happy enough with that. That's going to slow down quite a lot now. I mean, I was on a big sort of drive to get down to nearly racing weight. So I'm going to be increasing my calorie intake on a daily basis just to slow that drop down a little bit now, because I think we've finally got rid of the Christmas fat accumulation and I don't want to start going into muscle mass. Sleep hours, 7:56 last week. This week, 8 hours 26. Yes. Definitely getting the sleep in, which is good. My heart rate's back up to sort of normal. My normal, I said last week, is about 40 to 42. I don't know why it was so low last week at 34. But I don't know. It's normal anyway. That's all we can say. VO2 max is taking a bump. So VO2 max here is 60, whereas last week it was 58. So we've bounced up by 2 points. Guys, I take this from my Garmin, and I know that some of you will say, oh, that's not accurate, it's a random Garmin number. Yes, it is a random Garmin number. And yes, it is inaccurate. However, it's generally comparatively inaccurate. Okay, so as long as you don't go around telling people that that's what your VO2 max is, you can use it for comparative purposes. Okay, so what I can say is that this week, because of my training, my VO2 max has increased. Yeah. We don't know 100% how much, but, you know, it shows improvement. So there we go. All right. So happy days so far. What have we done training-wise during the week? So, started off standard Monday. Nice, easy ride on Monday. The Sunday previous was hell, that bike session. So, nice, easy ride and a nice, easy run brick session. My Mondays aren't really going to change, I don't think. I kind of like this setup. It's quite nice. It works well. It's good. Then coming into Tuesday. So Tuesday's session is getting pretty badass. So Tuesday's session's an interval session. Let's open it up. So the session itself, ignore this bit, we'll come down here, is 10 times 2 minutes 30 in zone 5, so between 4:55 per mile and 5:32 per mile. Being honest, I run these between 5:30 and 5:40 a mile if I can, and I try and hold them at that pace with a 2 minute recovery. So that's quite heavy going. Sort of exemplified by the fact that, you know, it's an interval session. I'm doing 10 miles in an interval session. So that's a pretty big session, but it's an interesting one in that I always dread it. Like, on a Tuesday morning, I'll wake up and be like, oh, no. And I think I dread it because I always wonder whether I'll be able to finish it and whether I'll be able to maintain pace. One of the things that you need to be careful of whenever you're trying to run fast, you're trying to get those zone 5 intervals, is that they need to be done at that pace, otherwise there's no point. So it's as soon as you start to decrease or not be able to hold your pace, or not be able to hold your pace for the time, then you need to think about changing that session. But even though I dread it every week, I still managing to kind of hit the numbers. So it's staying as it is for the moment. It might increase. And then just an endurance interval session in the evening. Zone 2 stuff. Nothing really too difficult in there. But just kind of long, I suppose, now. I think that's the thing that happens with Ironman training. Things get long. Wednesday, nice 40-minute run. Weirdly enough, this run should be really easy. Dead, like zone 1, zone 2 should be like nice and straightforward. That was, I think, probably the hardest run that I did a whole week. I don't know why, my legs just felt pretty nasty in that one. So I didn't really enjoy that too much, but it was okay. And then the standard Wednesday Zwift race with the Team Ulster Zwifter guys. I'm going to segue across into something else now, which is zwiftpower. So hopefully zwiftpower will open. This is something that I had to sign up for because we're using some league thing for the Team Ulster Zwifter things. So I signed up to it just at the back end of last year. That is unimportant at the moment. So is the fact that it's saying A category when I disagree wholeheartedly with that. But if we have a look down here, one of the interesting things, whenever you can get data from things, you can see progression and you can see whether what you're doing is actually working. And this is something that I've just noticed over the last few weeks. Now, whenever people look at zwiftpower, I assume what they kind of look at is like your average power to weight ratio here, and maybe 20-minute power here, but they probably don't pay too much attention to anything like from that column over. And you really should do, and this is why. I want to demonstrate something to you. So if we have a look here, you can see if we started off from the 6th of Jan, let's disregard that last one in December. You can see that my average power for the race has been 305 one week, then gone up to 310, then gone up to 312, then gone up to 324. Now, that may look kind of cool. It still equates to me getting dropped on the first climb of every race and having to ride in a small group on my own. That's probably why the power's going up so high, because I never get a chance to get any shelter. I'm just busting my balls the whole time. So that's cool. You can see progression there, and most people will be like, yeah, that's kind of cool. Your power's going up, which means that your threshold should be going up. But what's also important to look at is if you come across here and have a look at your average heart rate. And I know that in previous videos I've kind of said, oh, heart rate's not a great metric, and it's not in terms of a training metric whilst you're training. I don't like heart rate, but it's good for comparison purposes. So we've looked at the wattage, and the wattage is going up each week, but the interesting thing is, if you look at the average heart rate compared to the average wattage, it's going 174, 172, 167, 163. So what that's saying is that I'm generating more power and more wattage, but I'm not working as hard to do so. Yeah, because heart rate is an input metric, whereas power is an output metric. Yeah, so heart rate measures the amount of effort you're putting in, whereas power measures the end result of that. So the end result is going up and the effort being put in is going down, which is a good thing. Anyway, there you go. Just thought I'd segue across to that very quickly. Let's jump back into Training Peaks. If you've got any questions on that, or you want to make any comments, you think I'm full of rubbish, just comments below. Winner. What I'll also do is I'll put a link to the video of the explanation of FTP and all that stuff as well below. So that's the Zwift race. Again, no swimming. Coming into Thursday, tempo run. So last week I was moaning that I've not managed to hit a tempo run properly this year. Still haven't, but this one was a lot better. So the difference in speed between the low level and high level intervals within that tempo run was significant, which is a good thing. I'm still not getting to the right level of it though. So I'm gonna, in the next 3 weeks, I think I'm gonna switch the tempo blocks and split them with a bit of a rest period in between so that I can see if I can hit them harder, because I'm not 100% convinced on those at the moment. This one, again, really simple, just 4 blocks of zone 2 stuff. Nice and easy. Threshold efforts have got a lot harder this week on the bike, so there's now more of them, whereas there was only 3 or 4. Now there's like 5, and we're going a 4-minute block in zone 4, then a 5-minute block, then a 6-minute block, then a 7-minute block, then an 8-minute block. So by the time you get to that 8-minute block, it's quite significant. I want to talk about Friday a little bit. So Friday was an interesting day. If you look at Thursday's a pretty big day there. You've got 130 TSS on that run and then 71. So that's a 200 TSS score day, which means that, if I was working at my lactate threshold, that would have been 2 hours work. So that's a lot. That's a big day. If you have a look at the amount of calories that I took in as well, I only took in 3,330. What that meant is that I was about 1,500 to 1,800 calories below where I should be for the day. And some of you who are trying to lose weight, or some of you that are thinking about tracking calories and that kind of stuff, what you'll realize is that it's fine to look at a day-to-day kind of measurement, but you've got to think about the impact that occurs the next day. So Friday, I was pretty much good for nothing. I woke up in the morning, I was absolutely starving. I then had to teach a webinar for my actual real job. Go figure. So I did that, and then I got a coughing fit weirdly in the middle of it, and I started coughing, and I just had this kind of dry cough, and I was like, oh, this isn't good. The vid has tracked me down, and I've got it, but it kind of went away. But I ended up just kind of thinking, do you know what, I feel a little bit hypoglycemic, where, you get a bit brain foggy, and it's hard to concentrate, and you don't feel right. And I know whenever I start to feel hypoglycemic, I start to feel, it's kind of weird, I start to feel light. So if I'm sitting down, it kind of feels like I'm going to start floating away. I know that sounds stupid, but that's what I get. So I started to feel like that. So I was like, right, let's eat something. So I had a couple of crumpets with some peanut butter on it, and that made me feel a bit better. So I was like, right, that's what it is. I then had my lunch, and I was like, I'm still not feeling great here. So then my lovely wife came up with a great idea of going to have a wander down to get a coffee. So we walked down into our town, went to Costa, had a massive hot chocolate and this big cookie thing. I was like, sweet, we'll get that in. I came back and I was still not feeling great, so I had a little nap, and as soon as I had a nap, I was alright again and got that session done. So the whole point of that big story is that I've written a blog post about this that I'll put into the comments once it's live, but I've talked about the difference between the types of fatigue that you feel and whether you should or should not train whenever you're feeling certain types of fatigue. I'll talk about that in a second again, but this is one of the times when if I didn't listen to my body as much as I kind of do and paid attention to all the little signs and all the little symptoms and all the little things, it would have been very easy to can off that threshold session and just say, no, it's not going to happen today because I don't feel great. Whereas when you do pay attention to the feeling in your body and you pay attention to the little markers that you've got, and the more that you do it, the more that you'll realize what these markers are. Then you can go ahead and get it done. And what I kind of did with this session was I was like, I'm going to play it by ear. So there's a great quote from Sean Kelly, but this quote's about the weather, but I apply it to training, and I think that it's probably not word for word, but Sean Kelly said once, the best way to know if the weather is too bad to train is to go and train, and then when you get back from training, you'll know whether the weather was too bad. And kind of that's the way I use with tiredness as well. So if I had gone into that session and I wasn't able to hold the power for the first interval, I wasn't able to hold the cadence, I wasn't feeling good on the bike, I would have knocked it on the head at that point and said, no, that this is a rest day. I am actually fully fatigued. But actually I wasn't, I was just under-carbed. So that was that. Saturday, aerobic interval, that run was alright, but just tough. It was long. I wasn't really up for it that much. And the fast finish before is just a brick, so I have a brick session on a Monday and a brick session on a Saturday. The Monday brick is more about going off a slightly harder bike, whereas the Saturday brick is all about running long off the bike, so there's a slightly different focus on those two brick sessions. Because as I've said before, my weakness is running off a bike. And then we had the sub-threshold effort session yesterday, which I was dreading, I'm not going to lie to you. This session has kind of become my nemesis. Like the few weeks previously, it's absolutely destroyed me. However, this week, I kind of felt alright. Like, I got through all of them. The intervals I'd made longer, so rather than being 15-minute intervals, they're now 17.5-minute intervals. Giving myself an extra little bit of rest, and my legs felt spot on the whole way through it. The only really, really annoying thing was my internet connection dropped out about halfway through, right at the top of Alp to Zwift, and I lost like 140,000 drops and a whole bunch of XP points and other rubbish. So, first world problems and all that. But yeah, that session felt alright, and today my legs feel pretty good. So there we go. Big old week last week. I'm pleased to say it's the final big week of the first big block of this year. So this week is, look at that, 727 on the TSS, which means it's probably going to be about 500 by the time we take the swims off. Are there any swims in there? Yeah, there are a couple of swims. So, not much going on this week. Testing. I like a test. So we've got threshold test Tuesday, FTP test Friday. Will be interesting to see if that has changed. My FTP at the last time I tested was 333 watts. Everything that I've done based off that 333 watts is now getting easier, so I'm kind of hoping that it's bounced up a little bit. But we shall see on Friday. Alright. And that is that for me. Hopefully you've kind of enjoyed this little video. It's been a little bit insightful for you. I am looking forward to this week of just kind of chilling out, letting the training soak into the body and starting to feel a bit fitter off the back of it, because I'm not going to lie, I am pretty tired. I'm ready for this rest week. So guys, if you did find it interesting, useful, you like listening to random Northern Irish people ramble on about stuff, drop a subscribe on YouTube or drop a like on Facebook for the page so that you can get all of this stuff sent directly to you as soon as it comes out. If you know anybody that might benefit from seeing this ridiculous level of training, then please feel free to share it with them. Other than that, there will be another video from me this week. I'm going to try and get it up to doing 2 a week. This one's going to be about how to know whether you are overtraining and how to avoid overtraining, because I think that it's kind of something that's quite poignant, especially for me at the moment. So that'll be Wednesday or Thursday that'll appear. All right. Cool. Guys, thank you for making it this far. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.